All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Awesome. So today, we're going way back. Ancient wisdom kind of stuff.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Deuteronomy 16. It's all about these three major feasts in ancient Israel.
Okay, I know those. Passover, Feast of Weeks, and Feast of Tabernacles.
You got it. And we'll have our expert here to,
Yeah.
help us figure out what it all means.
Happy to help unpack it all. It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into these traditions.
I know, right? Sometimes it feels like they knew something we don't,
It's like they were living these lessons, not just reading about them. There's a depth there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up, Passover.
Yeah.
It commemorates the Israelites' escape from slavery, right?
Right? But it wasn't just about looking back.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't just remember it, they really relived it in a way. Imagine sacrificing a lamb.
Oh, wow.
That was a powerful symbol. Innocence, redemption, and then eating unleavened bread for like a whole week.
Not even time for the bread to rise, huh?
Exactly. They were constantly reminded of that hurried escape. It was ingrained in every part of the experience.
So they weren't just remembering, they were feeling it.
Yeah.
Could we even do that today? I mean, really connect like that?
Absolutely. Think about it. Acknowledging our struggles, all those challenges we faced, personal or as a whole society, it makes us appreciate where we are now, how far we've come, remembering how we got here.
Okay, yeah, I see that. All right, next feast, Feast of Weeks,
Huh.
celebrating the first harvest, 7 weeks after Passover.
Yes. Giving thanks for all the abundance.
But it's more than just, a harvest festival, right?
Right. It wasn't just about personal gratitude. It was about sharing that abundance.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, they specifically included the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow in the celebrations.
Wow, those are like the most vulnerable people in their society.
Exactly. They made sure everyone benefited from the harvest, not just those who were already well off.
That's incredible. Like a built-in safety net ensuring everyone gets a piece of the pie.
Exactly. And think about the timing 7 weeks after Passover. The number 7 held deep meaning for them, representing completion. So after those 7 weeks of hard work, they celebrated not just the harvest itself, but the culmination of their effort, their shared responsibility.
It's beautiful. It's about gratitude, yes, but also about sharing that abundance with everyone, especially relevant today, with all the inequalities we see.
Absolutely. The Feast of Weeks, it's like this model for inclusivity and social responsibility, right? It makes us ask ourselves, how can we make sure our own successes benefit everyone, especially those who need it most?
Yeah, food for thought for sure. All right, on to the last one, the Feast of Tabernacles. This one is all about building these temporary shelters, tabernacles, and actually living in them for, a whole week.
It was a powerful way to remember their journey through the wilderness.
Oh, right, after escaping Egypt.
Exactly. They left the comfort of their homes and lived in those simple shelters, remembering how they depended on God, remembering that their real security wasn't stuff, it was faith and community.
It's like they were choosing to live simply, thousands of years before it became a trend.
Right. And it resonates with so much of what we talk about today. Minimalism, mindful living. It reminds us that real contentment, it doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating what we have, from recognizing what truly matters.
It makes you think about all our stuff.
Yeah.
And how we're always chasing comfort. Maybe a little discomfort is good for the soul.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? To step outside our comfort zones, both physically and mentally. Maybe detaching from our possessions can help us rediscover what truly nourishes us.
Wow, so much to think about already. And it's amazing how these ancient practices are still relevant today,
Yeah.
But Deuteronomy 16 isn't just about feasts, is it? There's more to it, right?
You're right. The text also gets into some pretty serious topics like justice and leadership, but we'll get into those after a quick.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
Right. It's all connected. These feasts, they laid the groundwork for a whole way of life. Gratitude, inclusivity, justice. It's all woven together. It's all connected. These feasts, they laid the groundwork for a whole way of life. Gratitude, inclusivity, justice. It's all woven together.
Yeah, it's like they built their whole society around these ideas.
Exactly. Their relationship with God, each other, even the land, it's all there.
Speaking of justice, Deuteronomy 16 also talks about appointing judges. They were pretty specific about the qualities they were looking for.
Oh, yeah, big time. They had to be fair, impartial, incorruptible.
No taking bribes or playing favorites.
Nope. They had to be committed to justice for everyone. Didn't matter who you were.
It's interesting how much emphasis they put on ethical leadership. Like, what were the actual qualifications for these judges? Were they like lawyers or something, religious leaders?
It wasn't about that. No fancy training or status. Deuteronomy, it's all about character, integrity, a deep sense of justice.
So they picked people known for their wisdom and fairness.
Yeah, people who were really committed to doing what's right.
Like moral role models.
Yeah.
Leading by example, basically. That's a high bar.
It was. They really believed in leadership that reflected their values. Judges weren't just making rulings, they were shaping the whole community.
Makes you think about how we choose leaders today. Do we still value those same things? Integrity, fairness, that commitment to justice?
It's a good question to ask. In today's world, it's so easy to get caught up in personal gain, all the political stuff. But Deuteronomy, it reminds us that real leadership is about something bigger. It's about the well-being of everyone, working towards a just society.
Yeah, for sure. It's a powerful reminder that these old texts can still make us think about our own values, how we live them out.
Speaking of challenges, there's one more thing in Deuteronomy 16 that I think really speaks to us today, the whole idea of idolatry.
Oh, yeah, right. Back then it was about worshiping other gods, but I feel like it has a bigger meaning now.
Definitely. It's not about statues anymore. It's about anything that takes that top spot in our lives, anything that distracts us from what really matters. Living in line with our values.
So, like, what are those idols today? What are the things we tend to put on a pedestal?
That's the big question, right? Could be anything. Possessions, status, the need to be successful, to be validated. Even technology can become an idol. All those demands on our time. Anything that pulls us away from what's truly important. Relationships, our passions, just appreciating the moment.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness and lose sight of all that. How do we even guard against it, all those modern-day idols?
Awareness is key. Got to ask ourselves, what am I giving my time to, my energy, my attention? Do these things line up with what I believe in, with what I really want? Or am I just letting myself be pulled in a million directions?
It's like a spiritual decluttering, figuring out what to keep, what to let go of, what needs more space in our lives.
Exactly. It's not just about our stuff, it's about our minds and hearts, too. Letting go of the things that don't serve us anymore. That's how we make room for what really matters.
This is getting deep,
Ah.
but it's so insightful. We've gone from ancient feasts to, like, modern-day mindfulness.
That's the beauty of these ancient texts. They're full of timeless wisdom. It goes beyond culture or time period. The specifics might change, but the principles, those are still relevant today.
Totally agree. It's been an amazing discussion, but we're running out of time for our deep dives into Deuteronomy 16.
Yeah, I guess so. It's amazing how much these ancient texts can teach us about living a good life.
For real. And, I think what really struck me is how these feasts weren't just, isolated things.
Yeah.
It's like they created this cycle, remembrance, gratitude, renewal, Passover. It's all about liberation, right? Then the Feast of Weeks, we share the abundance. And it all leads to the Feast of Tabernacles, reflection and gratitude for everything.
That's a beautiful cycle.
It is. But how do we actually live this out? How do we apply these lessons in our lives today?
That's the question, right? We're not going to build tabernacles in our backyards, but we can capture the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Maybe set aside time for reflection, just like they did during tabernacles. Or make a point of including others in our celebrations, like the Feast of Weeks.
Finding those modern ways to weave those ancient ideas into our lives.
Exactly. Buy less, appreciate more. That's the simplicity of tabernacles. Get involved in our communities, fight for justice, just like those judges.
Finding those little rituals, those everyday practices that keep us connected to what matters. Gratitude, inclusivity, justice, living with intention.
It's a journey, no easy answers. But looking at these practices, they give us a guide,
Yep.
Help us figure out how to live a more meaningful life.
Love that. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Deuteronomy 16. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep searching, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep into the wisdom that's all around us. It is. But how do we actually live this out? How do we apply these lessons in our lives today?
That's the question, right? We're not going to build tabernacles in our backyards, but we can capture the spirit of it.
Yeah?
Maybe set aside time for reflection, just like they did during tabernacles. Or make a point of including others in our celebrations, like the Feast of Weeks.
Finding those modern ways to weave those ancient ideas into our lives.
Exactly. Buy less, appreciate more. That's the simplicity of tabernacles. Get involved in our communities, fight for justice, just like those judges.
Finding those little rituals, those everyday practices that keep us connected to what matters. Gratitude, inclusivity, justice, living with intention.
It's a journey, no easy answers. But looking at these practices, they give us a guide,
Yeah.
help us figure out how to live a more meaningful life.
Love that. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Deuteronomy 16. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep searching, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep into the wisdom that's all around us.